الله محيي الجيش 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 الله محيي الجيش.
Syrian President Bashar al Assad has visited the United Arab Emirates and held talks with the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed al Nahyan, and Vice President and Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid al Maktoum. President Assad last visited the Gulf region in 2011. This is Assad's first foreign visit since the start of the conflict in 2011, apart from trips to Russia and Iran. The process of rapprochement between the two countries began last year. We did report this on our channel when the United Arab Emirates opened a diplomatic mission in Damascus and proposed the return of Syria to the League of Arab States. This new visit by President Assad to the United Arab Emirates is clearly telling us that the period of isolation of Syria is coming to an end. If we look back to 2011, many countries left Damascus alone with Daesh, yankee jihadists, curtailing even the activities of their diplomatic missions in this Arab Republic. Sure, some countries did so due to so-called security concerns, but for others like Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Qatar, it was an opportunity to make some money by funding terror in Syria and showing their support to the Yankee Empire, which pretty much declared war on Bashar al Assad and his people. But Assad not only retained power but also brought victory to his country over terrorism, finding support in Russia and Iran, and now political moods have begun to gradually change in the Arab world. Countries in the region are now leaning towards reintegration of Damascus into the regional community. In particular, the border between Syria and Jordan has now opened. As for the United Arab Emirates, earlier they were ardent supporters of Saudi Arabia and as a result opponents of Assad. Now everything has changed.
The Syrian opposition was gathered together in Riyadh in an unprecedented move. All of the factions were represented. They agreed on a platform, on a vision for Syria. They agreed on what the new Syria should look like and the process for getting there. And they picked their negotiating team. And so now they're ready. It is the regime of Bashar al Assad that has been dragging its feet and
says it's ready.
Well, we will see. It has said many things before that it didn't comply with. We hope that the talks will begin on the 25th so we can launch the process that will lead to the establishment of an interim governing council that will assume power from the Bashar regime and that will then move towards writing a new constitution and having elections.
The reason why Assad won and is still standing is due to the support from Russia and Iran, who have provided and continue to provide vital assistance. But it's not just Russia and Iran. The BRICS countries like Brazil, India, China and South Africa didn't demand that Assad resign. Support to Assad was also provided by China, which has vetoed UN Security Council resolutions against Assad 6 times since 2011. India also maintained ties with Damascus, maybe due to fearing the rise of Wahhabism or possibly rewarding Syria for its past pro-Indian stance on Kashmir. Another reason why Assad won is also because the US and NATO and generally the collective West pushed hard to isolate Assad. However, not many countries followed the collective West, despite all the propaganda pumped against Assad in Syria. Lebanon and Iraq, for example, refused to join any Gulf-led sanctions, and Jordan maintained a diplomatic presence in Syria even when it was forced to halt trade and provide a safe haven for yankee jihadists who were opposing Assad. Algeria opposed the expulsion of Syria from the Arab League, and when this happened, it acted as a channel for diplomatic communications. However, the sudden visit of Bashar al Assad to the United Arab Emirates has ruffled a few feathers. Pentagon said it was concerned and disappointed by this clear attempt to legitimize the Syrian president. This was stated by the Pentagon spokesperson Ned Price. The sharp reaction of the American Foreign Policy Department is directly related to the statement of the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed al Nahyan, who called Syria the main pillar of the security of the Arabs and supported its territorial integrity and stability. I also believe the process of restoring relations between the Arab states and Assad was accelerated by the Jamal Khashoggi case, which dealt a colossal blow to Saudi Arabia, the land of Tawheed, which conducts sparks illegal executions not just in its country but also abroad. With Saudi Arabia's image being tarnished, this forced the Saudis to curtail its participation in the war in Syria. Oh, and let's not forget, Russia took out the leader of Jaysh al Islam, a terror group which was funded by the Saudis during the Syrian crisis. The collective West tried its very best to paint Assad as a ruthless dictator. The West not only funded the mainstream media, but Saudi Arabia was also promoting Islamic scholars to pass fatwas against Assad in order to recruit people into the war. So an opinion was formed that Assad was somehow a madman, a Middle Eastern dictator who should be replaced by a new democratic government as a result of people's revolution, which is all laughable. There's far too many myths against Assad these days, but they will die down very soon. Now that Assad is breaking out of international isolation, these voices of opposition mean nothing to him. Assad will return to big politics in the Arab world and will help strengthen the Arab world in general.
وجامع متحدين والمحطي عنوان الدين وملايين السوريين وما بدهن إلا بشار.